Today we're going to be talking about Indeedee and how to use it in your competitive and raid den teams. Alright, let's take a look at Indeedee here. Indeedee is going to be a psychic normal type. Defense stat is going to be 65, special defense 105, so pretty heavy on the special defense here, but physical defense is kind of a little on the lower side, and attack is 55. You're not going to be doing a lot of physical attacking with this Pokemon. However, you do have some option for play with special attack, as it is a 95 base stat, so pretty decent. HP is 70, kind of lower middle, and then speed is 85, which isn't too terrible. Now, even with a speed stat of 85, you can actually still use this Pokemon in Trick Rooms, mostly because it has some priority type moves. So you'll be able to still go regardless of whether or not you're super fast or super slow. So that is a nice thing about this Pokemon. Its abilities are going to be Own Tempo, Synchronize, and Psychic Surge. Alright, Own Tempo is basically going to make it so this Pokemon can't get confused, which isn't terrible, but there's not a crazy amount of confusion going around, so it's not really what I would pick here. We're going to look more at Synchronize and Psychic Surge. Synchronize is great because if you get burned, paralyzed, or poisoned, you're going to reciprocate and give that back to the Pokemon that did it to you. So if you get poisoned, whatever Pokemon poisoned you is also now poisoned, etc., etc. So I really like Synchronize for a lot of these bulkier builds here. However, if you're using some more psychic Pokemon, kind of a psychic team going on, then you might want to do Psychic Surge, because that's going to create the psychic terrain, which will not only boost your psychic attacks out by 30%, but it will also make any Pokemon that's in a that's on the ground and not in a semi-invulnerable state, so using Dig or Fly or something like that, it'll make them immune essentially to priority moves, and that will include things from priority abilities as well, like Gale Wings or Prankster. So right now I've been seeing quite a bit of Grimmsnarl and a lot of Murkrow usage. Both of those have Prankster, so just keep that in mind when you are making your teams. But again, I am going with the Synchronize here. All right, moving over to resistances. Because of that normal typing, we are going to be immune to Ghost, and this is awesome because normally that is going to be a weakness for the psychic type, so that is a really good immunity to have. And then we are going to resist psychic type attacks by half. The weaknesses are going to be a pretty traditional psychic weakness. We are going to have Bug and Dark, both at a 2x, so there's no 4x weaknesses here, but you do need to be careful of Bug and Dark. Bug is not overly abundant in the competitive right now. However, you do have things like Scizor or Scissor, however you say it, that will do a crazy amount of damage to Indeedee. Also be careful of things like Meowscarada with U-turn, etc., etc. All right, let's take a look at Indeedee for your competitive here. Now, this is going to be a bulky set, and we are going to be working on that physically defensive weakness that the Indeedee has. It's not that it's a super, super low stat, but it is lower than the special defense. So we went ahead and we put 248 EVs into defense, 244 into HP, and 16 into special defense. The 16 just balances the special defense out a little bit, but the bulk here is going into defense and HP. Obviously, we're balancing that defensive stat out, and the HP, we just want it to be as bulky as possible so that the Indeedee can live as long as possible. As far as moves, we've got Follow Me, Helping Hand, Light Screen, and Reflect. Light Screen is going to protect you. It's going to set up a screen to protect against special attacks. Reflect's going to do the same thing except for physical attacks, and this is a great damage mitigation, and it will help you win. Now, if you don't like the idea of not having a physical attack on here, or I'm sorry, just an attack on here, there are some options. We'll talk about that in a minute. But your other skills here, Helping Hand is going to buff your partner Pokemon. Whatever attack that they are doing, it's going to make that skill do more damage, and Follow Me is going to make everything on the field be forced to target the Indeedee instead of your partner Pokemon. That way they can set up or kill something or do whatever it is that that Pokemon needs to do. So you can see even in the video here, the Mimikyu got a chance to set up a Swords Dance while the Indeedee was using Follow Me, and now the Mimikyu's just kind of wrecking everything. The Indeedee's just sitting there setting up screens and Helping Hands and Follow Me's and just kind of making it so the Mimikyu can do its job and take everything out. On another note, Indeedee also works really well on Trick Room teams. You come out, you use Follow Me, the other Pokemon's using Trick Room, and you're set to go. Just keep in mind, things like Golden Go, for example, have awesome multi-hit on the opposite side of the field attacks, like Make It Rain, and that will do a ton of damage. Make It Rain shouldn't kill the Indeedee right out of the gate, but it could kill something like your Hatterene, so just be careful of that when you're setting your teams together. Okay, now some of the other moves for you here are going to be Fake Out, Protect, Heal Pulse, Calm Mind, Psychic, and Dazzling Gleam. If you are, like I said, somebody that isn't comfortable not having at least one attack on here, then you could swap it out for Psychic or Dazzling Gleam. Do a little bit more damage per hit with Psychic because you will get a stab bonus, but Dazzling Gleam will hit both things on the opposite side of the field and do really, really good chip damage at the bare minimum. So that'll be a nice one for you there if that's what you decide to do. Calm Mind would bolster your special attack and your special defense. Healing Pulse will allow you to heal your partner Pokemon. So depending on what team you're composing, if you're having something like a Clodsire with Stockpile and you want to make sure it gets set up, you can continue to heal it while it's using Stockpile. Protect is Protect, and Fake Out is great because the first turn your Pokemon comes out on the field, and it's every first turn. So if you recall it, it'll work again when you bring it back out. But every time it comes out, you can use Fake Out, and it will make one of the opposing Pokemon flinch, whichever one you chose. For ability nature item, we're going to go with Synchronize. You could use Psychic Surge here if you are using Psychic, or you're pairing this Pokemon with something like an Armor Rouge or any other Psychic Pokemon that's going to benefit from it. That way it'll bolster their damage. You could do that. However, I'm going with Synchronize here because that's not the case. And I want it so that if you burn me, I'm going to burn you back with Synchronize. That's basically what it does. Burn, paralyze, poison, all of those things. If you inflict a status condition like that on the Indeedee, it will bring it right back to you. And that's awesome because it's kind of like a little spit in your face move there. So I like Synchronize in this case, but if I was doing something with more of a Psychic team, then I would definitely go with Psychic Surge. The nature, we are going to go with Bold because we do want to have the physical defense as high as we can get it to balance its kind of weakness over the special defense. So we're going with Bold here. And then for the item, you can use Citrus Berry, La Papa Berry, or Leftovers. Just remember, Citrus Berry will proc and start to work once you get to half HP or less. And La Papa Berry, you're going to start to use it only when you get to 33% or less, or right around there. And then Leftovers are going to heal you just a little bit of chip damage every turn. So you can't go wrong with any of these. I'm a little more partial to the Citrus Berry here because it tends to come out and get used faster. And I'm not kind of on the edge of my seat wondering if they're going to one-shot me when I'm at 35% and just shy of the berry going off. Leftovers does have its use as well. It's completely up to you how you want to play this, and also what items you have on other Pokemon. If you already got something with a Citrus Berry, maybe you're a Belly Drum user and you've got an Azumarill out. It's just kind of what's going on your team and what you have available to use. All right, let's talk about the build that we can use to do Terra Dens. So if you don't have really good Pokemon like Iron Hands and other Pokemon that you can use in dens to really one-shot it, maybe you want to be the support person there that can set up screens, use Healing Pulse, and keep the party alive so that you don't fail raids constantly. So this is a good moveset here for Indeedee, and I've used it a bunch of times, and each time it's always successful. Just don't use it against something it's super weak against, like a dark type, especially a physical dark type, and you'll be okay. So we've got Heal Pulse, Helping Hand, Light Screen, and Reflect. Again, this is all support here. And then for the ability item nature, Synchronize, Bold, and you could either do the Citrus Berry or the La Papa Berry. You could also put Leftovers on here. All that would be fine. The goal is to just stay alive as long as you can, so healing is the way to go. For EVs, we're going to do 244 into HP, 248 into defense, and special defense is going to have 16. And it doesn't terribly matter what your Terra typing is here because you don't have any attacks to use, but it would be a Psychic type here. And if you need to swap that out, if you feel like you should have an attack on there, you could take out one of the screens and put in Psychic or something of that nature. All right, so guys, that's going to be it for Indeedee. Indeedee is awesome. It's one of my favorite support Pokemon to use across the generations that it's in. It's just a fantastic Pokemon with a pretty good range of support skills to use, and even that you could still, like I said, do an offensive build with it and still have some good results. So it's a very, very good Pokemon to use, and I highly suggest you get one raised up and put it into your party. That being said, if you have an awesome Indeedee build and you really like it, offensive or bulk, either one, just put it down in the comments. Let me know. I'll get back to you for sure. Or if you have any questions, also put it down in the comments. If this video helped you out, like and subscribe because that helps out the channel and it makes me happy. Otherwise, thank you for hanging out. I appreciate everybody, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. But until then, take care.